Robert Downey Jr., a man forged in the furnace of Hollywood's darkest contradictions. Behind the thunder of global fame lies a cruel truth. He is Iron Man, the armored Avenger who saved the universe on screen. He holds an Academy Award for Oppenheimer, a crown earned after decades of fighting demons more terrifying than any villain Marvel could conjure. His films have earned over $14 billion worldwide, making him one of the highest-grossing actors in cinematic history. But behind that legacy lies a story not glamorous but devastating. A childhood poisoned by a father's twisted love. 5 arrests that turned him into tabloid fodder. A year in prison, washing dishes for pennies. A wife who fled with their child because she could no longer watch him destroy himself. And a resurrection so improbable that it redefined what comeback means in Hollywood. Before we begin, if Iron Man ever gave you hope, if his journey ever reminded you that redemption is possible, leave a like as tribute to the man who clawed his way back from hell itself. Behind the thunder of global fame lies a cruel truth. Robert Downey Jr.'s first stage was not lit with dazzling spotlights, but with the dim glow of marijuana joints passed between father and son in a Greenwich Village apartment where art and addiction lived as roommates. Born April 4, 1965 in Manhattan, his father, Robert Downey Sr., was an underground filmmaker who made experimental movies that shocked America. His mother, Elsie Ann Ford, was an actress in her husband's surreal films. The apartment smelled of cigarettes and broken promises. Film equipment cluttered every corner. Drugs scattered across tables like forgotten props. Young Robert made his acting debut at age 5 in his father's film Pound. But the real performance began when he was 6 years old, watching his father light a joint and hand it to him. A 6-year-old child learning to inhale instead of learning to read. Robert Downey Jr. would explain years later that when he and his father used drugs together, it was his father's way of expressing love, the only language the man knew. By age 8, Robert was drinking white wine and smoking marijuana regularly with his dad. What kind of father does this? What kind of love poisons a child? These questions would haunt him for decades, creating an addiction so deeply rooted it would take 30 years and nearly his life to uproot. The family moved constantly, chasing film projects from Woodstock to London to New Mexico to Connecticut. Stability was a concept other children enjoyed. Poverty was their companion. His parents divorced when he was 12. His mother battled alcoholism until her death. Robert moved to California with his father, surrounded by future stars at Santa Monica High School like Sean Penn and Rob Lowe. At 16, he dropped out and moved back to New York to chase his dream. From neglect, he carved resolve. From rejection, he learned defiance. Armed with nothing but stubborn will and bruises of rejection, Robert Downey Jr. entered New York theater at 17. He cleared tables at a Central Falls restaurant, fingers numbed by dishwater. He worked in a shoe store, kneeling before strangers. He performed as living art at a nightclub called Area Standing Motionless, while drunk patrons stared. Anything for rent while auditioning. The rejections piled up. Too intense, too raw, not right, but his talent could not be denied. In 1983, at 18, he debuted in Alms for the Middle Class at Geva Theater Center. Then came 1985, when Saturday Night Live cast him. At 20 years old, he joined America's most famous sketch comedy show. This should have launched him into stardom. But fate had other plans. That season was a disaster. Ratings plummeted. After 1 year, Robert was let go. The rejection stung deeper than any before. He tried too hard to be cool to fit in, but he was hyperactive, nervous, desperate. Yet even in failure, doors opened. He landed roles in Weird Science and Less Than Zero, the latter earning critical praise that made Hollywood notice. Less Than Zero, released 1987, was prophetic. Robert played Julian Wells, a wealthy young man spiraling into drug addiction. Critics called his performance real, subtle, scary in its authenticity. Roger Ebert wrote, "It felt like watching someone's actual descent into hell." The irony was devastating. Robert was playing a drug addict while becoming one, his habit escalating from marijuana to cocaine to heroin. After finishing the film, he entered rehab for the first time at 22. It would be the first of many attempts to escape the prison his father built for him in childhood. By 1992, Robert Downey Jr. was no longer just another talented actor struggling with demons. He was an Academy Award nominee for his portrayal of Charlie Chaplin in Richard Attenborough's biopic Chaplin. He studied for months, mastering Chaplin's movements, physical comedy, emotional depth. The performance was transformative. He won a BAFTA award and received an Oscar nomination for Best Actor at 27. Hollywood seemed ready to crown him as one of the greats. The world saw success, but behind the cameras, the truth was different. By 1995, Robert was smoking heroin and freebasing cocaine daily. His body staggered under chemical weight. His hands trembled. His eyes hollowed. He thought he could manage it while still performing at the highest level. He was wrong. The empire he was building was constructed on sand. Then came 1996, the year that changed everything. On June 23rd, police pulled him over for speeding along the Pacific Coast Highway in Malibu. When officers approached his Ford Explorer, they found heroin, cocaine, and an unloaded .357 Magnum pistol. He was arrested. The news exploded across tabloids. 3 weeks later, still awaiting trial, Robert wandered into his neighbor's house while intoxicated. He stripped to his underwear and curled up in the bed of the neighbor's 11-year-old son. The mother discovered a grown man unconscious in the bed. She called police. Medics resuscitated him. The world watched in horror. This was not a celebrity scandal. This was a human being disintegrating in real time. The pattern became relentless. Arrest, release, rehab, relapse, arrest again. In October 1997, he skipped a court-ordered drug test. The judge sent him to Los Angeles County Men's Central Jail for 113 days. In 1999, he stood before a judge in orange jail clothes and shower sandals. "It is like I have a shotgun in my mouth, and I have got my finger on the trigger, and I like the taste of the gun metal." He was sentenced to 3 years in prison. Robert Downey Jr. became inmate number P5522 at California Substance Abuse Treatment Facility in Corcoran. He washed dishes in the prison kitchen for pennies per hour. The environment was brutal, cold, unforgiving. At night, lying on a thin mattress, he wondered if this was how his story would end. Power, as Robert discovered, carries a heartbreaking price. The Oscar nomination could not save him. Nothing could save him but himself, and he was not ready yet. When Robert Downey Jr. first married Deborah Falconer in 1992, the cameras captured a young couple in love, but they could not capture the storm gathering. They dated just 42 days before marrying. Deborah gave birth to their son Indio in September 1993. For a moment, Robert thought fatherhood might anchor him. It did not. Deborah watched her husband cycle through arrests, rehab, jail time. She stood by him through the nightmare of 1996, the public humiliation, the prison sentence. But by 2001, she could endure no more. She left, taking their son. The divorce was finalized in 2004. Robert had lost his family. She could not watch him die. Behind the cameras, the truth was different. Robert was losing everything. No studio would hire him because insurance companies considered him too risky. He went from making millions to having $1,700 in his bank account. He owed 7 years of unfiled taxes. He was unhireable, a talent wasted. Even when he got a second chance, he sabotaged it. In 2000, released early from prison, he was cast in Ally McBeal. His performance was magnetic. He won a Golden Globe, but he would later call this the lowest point of his addictions. On Thanksgiving weekend, 2,000 police found him in his Palm Springs hotel under the influence. In April 2001, police discovered him wandering barefoot around Culver City. Tests confirmed cocaine in his system. Ally McBeal fired him immediately. His career was over, or so everyone thought. Years later, he would confess that 2003 was the year he finally chose life. He met Susan Levin on the set of Gothica. She was a producer, brilliant and successful. He was still struggling, still broken. She turned him down repeatedly. She knew his history, but eventually she gave him a chance and an ultimatum. "I made it clear that to stay with me nothing could happen," she told Harper's Bazaar. "No drugs, no relapses, zero tolerance." Robert saw what he had with Susan, something magical he could not afford to lose. In July 2003, he threw his remaining drugs into the ocean and vowed never to touch them again. It was quiet, a private decision by a man who had run out of excuses. He embraced 12-step programs, yoga, meditation, therapy. He committed to sobriety with the same intensity he once committed to destruction. "The clearest conversation I have ever had in my life," he said of Susan's ultimatum. The father who had given him marijuana at age 6 died on July 7, 2021. Robert Downey Sr. passed from Parkinson's disease complications at 85. Their relationship had been complicated, twisted by drugs they once shared, haunted by damage done. Robert posted on Instagram calling his father a true maverick filmmaker. But the pain beneath those words was obvious. How do you mourn a man who loved you, but also poisoned you? In 2026, Robert Downey Jr. stands not as Iron Man, but as a survivor. At 60 years old, worn by time yet still standing, he embodies resilience in its rawest form. His net worth is estimated at $300 million, earned primarily from his role as Tony Stark in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He owns multiple properties in Los Angeles, worth over $40 million combined. A home in Santa Monica purchased for $4 million. A 7-acre estate in Malibu worth $13.44 million. Another Malibu property valued at $4 million. Real estate in Venice. A beachfront home in Manhattan Beach. And a house in the Pacific Palisades worth $2.5 million. But what defines Robert Downey Jr. today is not what he owns. It is what he has rebuilt. He married Susan Downey in August 2005. They have 2 children together, Exton, born in 2012, and Avery, born in 2014. He is also father to Indio, now 30 years old, from his first marriage. The man who once wandered barefoot and drugged through Culver City now spends quiet evenings with his family in their converted windmill house in the Hamptons, a colorful home featured in Architectural Digest that has been viewed 29 million times online. He has been sober since 2003, over 20 years of sobriety maintained through discipline and support systems. He attends 12-step meetings. He practices Wing Chun Kung Fu, a martial art that teaches control and focus. He meditates daily. These are not hobbies. These are survival tools, the architecture of a life rebuilt from rubble. His career resurgence began in 2008, when director Jon Favreau and producer Kevin Feige took a gamble on casting him as Tony Stark in Iron Man. The studio considered him a risk. He was expensive to insure. He had no action movie experience. But Favreau and Feige saw something others missed. They saw that Robert Downey Jr. was Tony Stark, a flawed genius, trying to redeem himself, a man in armor, protecting a vulnerable heart. Robert accepted just $500,000 up front, betting on himself with a back-end profit deal. The film earned $585 million worldwide. His take grew to approximately $2 million. It was the beginning of the greatest comeback in Hollywood history. Over the next decade, he appeared in 9 more Marvel films, his salary escalating with each one. Iron Man 2 earned him $10 million. The Avengers brought him $50 million. Iron Man 3, another $50 million. By Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, he was earning $75 million per film. In total, he made between $400 and $600 million from Marvel, depending on back-end bonuses. He became the highest-paid actor in Hollywood from 2013 to 2015. But the money was never the point. The point was redemption. In 2024, Robert Downey Jr. won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for his role as Louis Strauss in Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer. In his acceptance speech, he looked at his wife Susan and said, "You loved me back to life." It was a moment of vulnerability, a public acknowledgement of the woman who saved him when he could not save himself. Today, Robert Downey Jr. and Susan run Team Downey, their film production company. They balance family life with creative projects. He is no longer chasing the high that nearly killed him. He is chasing meaning, connection, legacy. He has spoken openly about his journey, not to glorify his past, but to offer hope to others struggling with addiction. "Stopping is not hard," he once said. "Not starting again is." The world remembers him as Iron Man, but those who know his story see something deeper. They see a man who was given poison by his father and still found a way to forgive. They see a man who lost everything and rebuilt it with patience and humility. They see a man who stood in prison clothes, pleading for his life, and lived to win an Oscar. They see proof that redemption is not a myth, that second chances are real, that the armor we wear can protect us while we heal. If there is a lesson in Robert Downey Jr.'s life, it is this: trauma does not have to define you. The wounds your parents give you do not have to destroy you. Addiction is not a life sentence if you choose to fight. And love, real love, the kind that demands accountability and offers unwavering support, can truly bring you back to life. His journey from a 6-year-old smoking marijuana with his father to a 60-year-old Oscar winner is not just a Hollywood story. It is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, a reminder that we are not the worst thing that ever happened to us. Robert Downey Jr.'s legacy will be measured not in box office numbers or awards, though those are staggering. It will be measured in the lives he inspires, the people struggling with addiction who see his story and think, if he can do it, maybe I can too. It will be measured in the family he has built with Susan, the children who know a father present and sober unlike the father he had. It will be measured in the quiet mornings in the Hamptons, the laughter around the dinner table, the peace that comes from, finally, after 60 years being free. He is Iron Man, yes. But more than that, he is a man who stared into the abyss, felt the taste of the gunmetal, and chose to live.